Jam on toast!
Hey everybody, welcome to the Jam. I'm Cameron, and today the toast is to Dredd. Technically this is a remake of the Stallone version, which is based off the comic book, but I think it only got better. This is a SourcefedNerd movie club review, and I'm real excited to do this week. This all happens in a world where the judicial branch responds to crimes dispensing justice on the spot in the form of street judges. We join Rookie Anderson as she goes through a trial assessment under the supervision of Judge Dredd, and this is all to determine whether or not she's going to become an official judge during this investigation of this multiple homicide. My love for this one's got to be the general concept of street judges. This is something that I would incorporate in my own fantasy worlds, and I really love the aspect of it. It brings up a lot of good questions, whether or not it's right to dispense justice on the spot, if we need a lengthy bureaucratic process to determine if people are guilty or not when no one was there, whether or not the technology that's involved in these investigations is something we should be incorporating into our real lives. It brings up almost as many questions as Watchmen to me, and that's a high praise. My hated for this was the oddly motivated criminals. They seem to be on top of things, and then maybe that's why, through their hubris, they call attention to themselves, and they finally attract the attention of people they don't want attention from, and they just go to the extremes about it. None of it really looking like it's beneficial to the gang itself. My MVP for this one is Olivia Thirlby. My MVP for this movie is Olivia Thirlby. You may know her from Juno. She was Juno's best friend. She plays the rookie, and she does a fantastic job, and if it was just Dredd going through this, I don't think it would be nearly as compelling. She works really well together with Carl Urban. The thing I really recognized him for was Bones in the new Star Trek films. Damn it, I'm not a doctor, I'm a judge! Anyways, those two worked really well together throughout the whole thing, and he was a complete badass, but she actually brought some sympathy and some controversy to the whole thing, because without her, it almost seems like Dredd's just going to run amok through all these gang members. Anyways, let's move on to categories. Aesthetics. Judge Dredd looks like a total badass. They really paid attention to the settings to make it look derelict where it really needed to. Normally, I'm such a fan of the cinematography for slow motion effects, reverse cinematography, but honestly, the slow-mo in this kind of just seemed annoying. It's not really my bag. It was pretty and it was well done, so credit where credit's due, but the more impressive things are the practicals, making Judge Dredd look like he did. The costumes, the armor, I thought was really hot. And Mama, that's Lena Headey from Game of Thrones. That's Cersei. I don't see Cersei when I see Mama. I see Mama in her entirety, and she did such a good role with that, but the scarring on her face and getting her hair to look just crazy, that all seemed pretty on top of things there. The action scenes were really well done, and they seemed to project that something bigger was happening. It wasn't just explosions for explosion's sake or bullets for bullets' sake. It seemed like it meant something, and I really appreciate that. Aesthetics gets a 92. Character development. I'm a little torn on this one because through Anderson, we definitely see character development. She goes through a whole lot, and she becomes a whole different person as she goes. And we understand that the world's not as rose-tinted as we think it is, even in this crap gray world that they're in. And she actually grows to lengths, and she doesn't even let it overcome her. She definitely hardens as a character, but not complete. And we can see that by who she chooses to kill and who she chooses to live. Dredd, on the other hand, he almost seems like the same character from start to finish. It's not because he doesn't change significantly, it's because he's such a static character. He has to maintain that level of badassness that we see, and quite frankly, it needs to be there. I'm glad he didn't change that much, but he did grow, and it's important to note that. At the beginning, he never would have thought twice about kicking Anderson out of the force. Even at the end, where she hands him the badge, he has to think about it, and he has to contemplate what it is to be a judge and reevaluate everything about his life, because he's always been about the law and the law by the letter of the law. When you really gotta look and be like, hey, she came out at pass, she's alive, she lived through this, she could probably do it again. And it made me want to see sequels of individual stories with each judge and watch them cross over. Character development gets an 88. Storyline. Storyline is not complex, but it's still got some depth to it. Distinctive acts or chapters go through, very similar to how you see video games happen. The first level, if you will, is where they go to investigate the crime. The second would be where they go and apprehend the guy that they drag around with them the whole time. Then at the end of that chapter, the shutters close down and a whole new game begins. You see this several points throughout the movie, and it's fantastic. It lets the repetitive things go on without being repetitive, because now we're like, oh, we're doing this, and I really appreciated that. It takes good writers to shift like that and have stories sequentially link up and maintain continuity. Storyline gets an 88. Compulsion. I was so happy when this came up on the watch list. I was like, finally going to watch an action movie I like for SourceFed, and it's great. I really do love this. I did not want to turn it off. I didn't want to turn it on and go do something else, even though I kind of had to get it done, so I threw it on the laptop and brought it with me. I could go back and watch it again right now, and I'd be happy watching it. Compulsion gets a 92. Now, if we total everything up, we get an average of 90. For my wrap-up review, I gotta say this is a great movie, and this is my kind of action movie. Full of technology, a radical concept, and even a little supernatural ability thrown in. It's a good time. And it's even a feminist type movie, because even though the lead female is the subordinate in the situation, she's a strong character. She overcomes on her own. She makes it back out. She saves Dredd's butt multiple times. She definitely proves herself. And we don't even have to get started on Mama. Even though she's a villain, she can still be looked at as a good feminist character, and I applaud that. Not that she's willing to be that crazy and everything, but it's still good to have characters in it, because that easily could have been a kingpin, and no one would have thought twice about it, because it's just generic, lame, bad guy. Also, this is a movie where it's not action for action's sake. I find that really boring to just, let's put in a kung fu scene. The one gratuitous scene is probably with the chain guns, but they actually merged that into a plot device, and I applaud that for sure. The action represents the conflict, and that's how it should be in movies. You could even argue that the action represents the character's ideals on how things should happen, whether or not these people should be executed and it's done with, and it's representing a whole ninth degree, or that Mama's willing to do anything to get rid of these judges, and it doesn't matter. This is one for action folks, dystopians, and sci-fi fans. I recommend this as a must-see, even if you were disappointed by the previous version with Stallone. I think that's all I got for you. I'm Cameron. Have a nice day.